Directions online sent into sequence. Core conversion system and travel. This is coming into 12 wires of indication. And what does that mean? Well, that means that 12 centered signals, you live inside the eye, inside the eye itself. So it doesn't matter how we see the provision. You just have to see it through its own settings and track location. Its own travel inside the eye. This is all inside the eye itself. Now, your scales, communication grounds, living line set location system. The converting line core centers, your body frame location will no longer be there. It'll be in 12 lines in position location setting. Okay, but it's all lines except travel. You're going to only see through the eye lines. Okay, so what you have to master yourself is 12 lines, how you see the dimensions of space and time. 12 grounds here, below, 12 grounds in position above, and 24 in center of clocking. 0 operation, okay, into 24, okay? You got to see your body is nothing but zeros and ones. Like apply it to your position to understand how to see it through its failsafe that travels its calculation ground lines into its jumping programs. So this helps you to process your system, how you see the set lines of calculation to its eye itself. It has its own travel mechanisms all at once, okay? So that's what you got to recognize, because that's all you're going to be in prophecy of. Back to what you are in foundations, okay? So remember, inside, outside, inside the eye. Body's not going to be there, okay? It's just going to be, the body's going to be the dream itself, okay? So it's the switch, it's the mind switch, it's the mind inception itself. But what's going to be real is going to be inside the eye line. That modifies the mind, that modifies the brain, the processing, forming, and shaping your cells back to what you are in foundation of 1224 is and understand how to use it in a clocking system of Earth 0.024. 12 provisions here, below. 12 provisions above, okay? So what you have to understand is the central setting, triangulation positions or grounds, empty space, empty space, empty space, outside travel, okay? And out empty space. Waking up, converting settings, also supposition. You're coming through 3 lines of wire signatures, space itself, security, and plasma, which is blue, right? That's 3 wires of indication setting, past, present, future, and modification 1 cycle. Hydronic lines and time frame line conditions, time center and line combination of body lines of frame communication lines of conversion. Okay, so you come into the red center of operation, all through triangulation. Coming into the actual simulation setting. Okay? All right? So it's coming to the expansion in, expansion out, expansion in lines of perception itself. Okay, and then we go into the blue, and then you can work with the rainbows inside your travel. Okay, but this is how the simulation is going to be set up. Location December 25th. Okay, starting with 3 line provisions, and then you can go with orange or lines. You can be consolidated in positions of travel. You can send an orange in sequence inside. It's about mastering yourself inside the Earth. Remember I told you to start with the 9 lines and send calculations. Yep. Okay, same shape, but consolidarity of its own system. Okay, now it's all of us coming out of the TV screen in box frame, the triangulation box. Okay, so this is where your oculars come in. Your oculars core centers and position lines of travel. You're converting your system, not just in back and foundation, but what you've been wearing before you put yourself in trance. So you'll be wearing the same clothes, same lines, same direct location. Everything's going to be neuralized back in your foundation of 12 and 24 circuits. Okay, that's how it's going to be set up. All right, so your central setting has the process, the outline scale. The process indicates the lines of flux. It travels the directions in the ground centers and sequence location setting to your quantum lines to your nanosystems. Okay, the optons units will come back to the nano setting. Or humanity would be back in 12, which is the quantum. So converting here, process outside of travel into the bridging. Okay, and just into the bridging of a circulation, process lines of the box into bridging of the triangulation. It's that position of operation. Okay, so it's all about understanding how to use your telepathy all through box, triangulation, and circle frame, right? But that's how it's going to be set up in your binaries. Okay, so your provision line cycles, your spectrum, and your spectacles, and your spectrum itself is going to be 42 lights in line condition setting, empty space around the system, 42 lights inside the travel, Red line course centers and security lines of measure, and balance of your energy and position line center. So energy goods, line condition outside, force field inside, which is consolidarity. That's your information panel that you're protecting, right? So your plasma line direct lines of grounds, the process you're in position, location, and travel, they gets in position to its highways. All right, so it converts the system and calculates grounds. Process that position lines of travel, all through platforms, okay? Travels all together all at once, all right? Converting setting all through different angles. Seat and position to its operation. Okay? Platitude operation line grounds and line centers. Now we're going to outline center line connection setting, converting outside lines of travel in 3 centers of calculation. Okay? Now you convert this setting, connecting the dots. That's all it is, guys. That's all it is, connecting the dots. Okay? So it's not how to set up a simulation in your system in box frame. Outside, outside, in set position of operation. Okay? And you can change the platforms and set position of operation itself. Okay? But you can see it moving all at once in all directions and settings. Merging calculation grounds, I signals, I ground sent line communication position, all through position. Telepathy lines, ground centers of sequence. Platitude operation lines of travel, indirect lines of ground set position to set lines of travel communication. Your Merkaba tester and tetra region. Master your volumes and set lines of travel. Okay, all together. Look what I created. Look what I created. A transformer. All right. See, we have to truly understand how this all works in position of operation setting. All through setting, all through operation. Okay? There's the transformer. All right, now, understand the platforms of what you do in your position, your efficacy and performance is knowing how to go from outline in or in outline out, but it's always inside, outside, inside the eye itself. That you have to understand through projection. Understanding the void, understanding the security, understanding the plasma. So you have energy outside. You have a force field inside. Okay? But your outer structure, if you basically blow up your picture, you're going to see your black, you're going to see blue, and you're going to see your red around the rim. That's outer ring. That's outer rim. So you have to understand how to see that in a film projector design. Now, once we platted to our visual location, we cross the angles, cross the examination system. We go through outside setting and travel. This is outside looking in. Okay? Outside looking in. Okay? Outside looking in. Now we basically set the width, time frame. It's much easier to see yourself living inside the cycles as set lines of travel of communication. Directing ground centers of platforms, equalize the course centers calculation of its platforms into its planetation system all through setting. Okay, it's trippy, isn't it? I see inside and outside the shapes of an anomaly. So that's outside looking in. Okay? So that's position lines, that's inside looking out, that's outside looking in. Okay? So what you have to truly understand is how to see the eye lines and eye sequence. Platforms over here, connect the dots, all formation system, all through time frame. You can outline your signals over lines of travel. Okay? So you just have fun with it. You start to understand how to connect the dots, understand laser travels, directing lines of your Skynets. It puts position location in 12 layers. We'll go through 12 layers of sent lines of sequence, outside travel. 1/3 line grounds and lines of travel communicates to its setting through its pyramid. Pyramid operation line centers, inset lines of calculation setting, frame communication system. Okay? So you can see it in all scales of communication, all through direction. Okay? Because all you're creating is a simulation inside the eye. Okay? But you understand the outer structure, the inner structure is consolidarity. So the consolidarity is the picture frame. That's the photo op. Okay? That's the eye sequence of your spectrums and travels. So every time you change your frame line, you can change your simulation grounds, a set position. So remember, every time you blink your eyes, you change the structure of design of operation. Okay? Outside setting. Everything on standby. Right? Outside line rotation of travel communication. Right? So now it's outside the TV. Right? Just a box TV. Right? Just a box TV. Outside the TV. Right? So now it's projecting everything outside. That's revealing everything from inside. It's done from inside lines of rotation. Travels point line to graph, directing inside calculation. Okay? So once you recognize that, this is all happening inside the eye in real time. Okay? But your bodies aren't there. Your bodies are just the conscious awareness of what you're projecting inside your mind. You're all aligned in this position. You're all living inside the eyes and projection itself. Okay? So understanding what you're perceiving is knowing what you do within conscious. It's being totally observant and know exactly you're perceiving these things in its conscious location of its levels that you're bringing in real time. That brings it the time format to its algorithm. So you have to be very cautious how you come into your set lines of travel communication. Okay? Seeing everything from outside, that's outside looking in. If I set a graph line, okay, that's inside looking out. Okay? So it's sure you understand how to see it, right? The eyes and windows of the soul now. Okay, inside, outside, inside the eye itself. Now you can set a graph line. You can change the information setting, you can change the time tablets, cross line angles of 45 flux, or you can cross angles line communication setting all through the setting, right? But it's very powerful stuff when you see it all through simulation. And it's more powerful when you start to recognize through its highways and travel. There's your highway. Okay? Change grounds, there it is in flux. Equilibrium, balanced communication. Now you're bringing yourself in projection yourself. Okay? This is you bringing yourself in projection. Like this. That's you. That's you, right? But look at the bandwidth you have inside the eye that you have to go through, right? So you can bring any size lines of measure because it has no massive calculation of green lines. You can be an atom, you can be anything in rotations, but that's you bringing yourself in projection, okay? Then you can bring in your friend. Now we've done this before, but you basically have to understand the three grounds of setting in sequence. The void itself, the security, and the plasma, okay? The red, okay, process your setting indications of your security panels. Your black is your void, okay, and the blue, okay, is your protection. And everything inside line condition setting processes you in lights and how you see it through dark. Process that position in the information panel. So the most powerful thing that you have to understand in communication setting is basically protect your light, which is your information, which is your commodity, which is your construct, which you have inside through your assets, which is your financial finance system that puts you in position in real time. That gets you your efficacy, your performance, how to see that through your system, okay? Because it's all levels of protecting, nurturing, and securing your system, all through protection. Protection is number one, securing and nurturing your system and being sustainable, knowing exactly what you're doing with your information bits as your eyes are changing course of time. That comes in projection location setting when you come in your online course settings, your northern lights. 12 provisions of cycles here, 12 precisions above, 24 settings of clocking. North, west, south, and east, okay? Echo 1, Echo 2, Echo flux, Echo travel, okay? And everything inside line condition setting is a temperature reading from inside, outside, outside, inside. So understand the position is barometer and thermometer, location setting, convergence system, and tractions. So you have to live in set lines of the eye itself because the body will no longer be there. The body won't be there until you bring it in. See? Your mind projection is everything in travel. Now, if we get a true understanding how this all works, you understand that you've always been in the foundation of your system. How you bring anything in through a program is all through you in travel. Okay? It's knowing how to control your adaptation of your systems as you bring in programs in your simulation. Okay? But I'm showing you the bandwidth, what you see in the eye itself. Okay? It's incredible when you bring it in through simulation. Okay? All right, great. So you don't live inside the eyes, you are the eyes. Eyes are the windows of the soul, and the eyes are the windows of the sky. All right, so it doesn't matter how I see it in flux. I can do it in so many levels. But what you have to understand is 12 centers. Let's bring that a little bit more so you can see it travel in its own system. Okay? Traveling in its own system, traveling in its own system, right? So it's observing you, you're observing everything else. That's the direct location and converting. Process here, process here, process here. Okay? So you're going to go outside setting into this position all through travel. Okay? Process ether, core, firmament, and set lines of travel. Okay? Ether, core, firmament, and set lines of travel. Okay? So you're expanding out or you set position of operation. Okay? Spider ops, but it's all inside the eye itself. Okay? Which is amazing because you can time your formats. You can set pyramids and directions and line signals and sky nets and sky grids and sky panels, sky operations, all positioned inside lines of position, living inside this set location of the eye itself in spectrum. So it's amazing when you see everything inside the eye. It has an energetic flow pattern. Okay, it's knowing that you guys have been living outside your body of fantasy. There's no fantasy of fiction, only fantasy of fact. How you bring things in through windows, how you bring things anything through webbing, how you bring anything through light, or how you bring anything of dark, a balanced communication. And it travels all together, right? In the same direction in set lines of operation. Okay? Always going in the same direction, guys. Okay, so your body, okay, in settings of operation, check this out through webbing, through spider ops. See the spider? See the eyes? There's the spider, right? Okay. Creates its web, right? Goes around and around and around in circulation, right? Transformation lines and transition location of transcendence. That process of set locations in the center. Operation settings off the calculation. There's the spider inside the center. The oculus, the oculators, the ocpi, the centri, the operation setting, the spidey senses, the spider ops, the psychops, the mechanism location of travel. All right, all inside the eye itself. Okay, and then you can work with inside the travel and direction of locations. Look at this. See? So it's incredible when you start recognizing how to live in the spectacles inside the void itself. The process is face recognition. There's the face. There's the void, there's the phantom zone. So it doesn't matter how you see in triangulation or anything in direction and time frame. There's the door. And then you can bring yourself in color. Okay? You know what's amazing? You know what's incredible? Is the fact that we've always been living inside our system. It's amazing how we see the simulation or how we see anything in setting. Operation itself. Bringing everything in that position, knowing how to see intelligence inside the eye. Coming at you in direction. Okay? But look at the bandwidth. Look at all that. Look at the bandwidth you guys have to go through to get there. Starting up in the center, guys. Staying in the center operation. Stay within the line. Don't go outside the line. Stay in the perimeters. Stay in the parameters. Stay in the transition. Stay in the flow. Stay in your own lanes. Okay, until you understand the outer spectrum of your system. So this is above the cycle, this is below the system. This is the center operation of your center, which is all position and processing. So converting the line position to direct and redirect, eye-line division. Now your body is going to be in position 24 seconds right away, December 25th. You got to get used to that now, because you're not going to be clocking 12. You're going to be clocking 24 seconds. That's 24,000 seconds per second per square. Okay? 2,400,000 settings and at 24,000 second lines of frame. So it's automatically going in positions. So 24 goes right to 144 flux in time frame. Your position comes automatically in your setting your grounds, powers, and your atmospheres of your highways of your perimeters in set design. So you have to stand the chronological order how your eye sets the lines of provision. It's much easier to understand that when you live inside the eye itself. And once you understand that, then you process your systems all through dimension lines of windows and travel through face recognition. Okay? Use your imagination, process everything that you see in travel. Okay? So it's up to you to understand how to see the moon and how to see you in travel in space. Outer structure of white, inner structure of black. So you're constantly creating games inside your system, and how you see that the modification setting, it doesn't matter which angle you see yourself in that position of operation itself. Travels at communication, there's the moon. Okay? There's the moon, right? There's the moon. Now, you want to bring yourself in through programming, that's fine. You're looking at the moon at a different angle. Okay, so you're looking at the moon and you're looking at the sun, right? So in that spectrum, bring in position lines, bring in the solar system. There's the solar system, okay? Let's bring in the planets. See, it's getting much easier now because you identify your foundation grounds, okay? Set position, okay? There's your solar system. But again, look at the bandwidth you have in set lines of travel. You can't see what you've done until you actually bring it in set lines of travel. Okay? So everything you do is already set in the I itself. There's already a construct that's already created through I am. The process of that position, location, in your system is to try to understand how to see that and 12 different layers of travel. That's processing position. Let's go through white graph screens. Now, when your eyes turn white, they go with snowy graph interference. Process position here, angles, point lines of graph. Crossing angles of 45 flux lines of triangulation lines of calculation. Okay? Inside position, outside travel. Now you get security fencing, protecting outside of everything in standard location, which you created in your anomalies. And you have your outside looking inside of everything automatically. So it's incredible force when you see it in an formation system all through the I direction. See? You can't get outside the I because you live inside the I itself. So it doesn't matter what you do. But the one thing that's not there is the body. The body's not there. Because the mind becomes the body itself, the projection, and you see it through light and dark. So it's all projection, isn't it? Through astral projection itself. Astral projection is following you into your doppelganger. It's how you see in real time. But you process everything that you set, position your bandwidth to process your calculation setting, doing exactly how to see everything in real time is through your simulation. Okay, graphing ground lines, high center interference, directing lines of real-time position of fencing, process your position location outside, looking in. You're at the park, looking at set position. Now you're seeing that in real time. That you bring it out through your TV, right? So this is what it is, starting this way, right? Nothing's coming out of the TV because you're not in intent. You're just in observation mode, and you stay there until you understand how to see your 12 and 24 systems. Okay? All right, so when you bring things out, it's coming out of its standby. Observing, creating reality, okay? Circling around your system. Now it's outside the I. Now it's outside projection, okay? So you're coordinating, this is you, just void itself, okay, of what you brought out. Are you consciously aware of what you brought out? Because it's going to affect your real time. Okay, observe, reveal, into position. And once you understand that 12 position or 24 system, you have to really understand the relation which you're bringing in through revealing. Because you're bringing in intelligence informations in time frame, in chronological order through your body. That's already gone through time frame itself, which modifies everything you got through algorithm, which is the binary that helps you to get in position through mode control. So the eyes control everything. You're living inside the I, outside, inside the I, which is the eyes windows of the soul. But your body's not there. The body's going to be in the mind. So there's not going to be any space and time until you perceive conscious or the alteration setting, knowing exactly how to come back in your foundation system, and how to adjust your system, process your system through your setting. Knowing exactly how to go through napping and going through sleeping. Okay, napping is just the adjusting your system, networking, processing your systems all through travel into your astral projections. The sleep mode, okay, process your system, how to go through your lines of kick drive to high drives, into your different levels that you gain that goes through the astral projection of the doppelganger that goes in real time. That's how I got here in that particular time frame, in real time. How did I get here? From taking a nap and going to sleep. Okay, napping is processing, adjusting your programs of astral projection that you go through. Now, once you get in position, you come into your settings, how you see the astral projections of doppelganger. So you see yourself in astral projection, but then that's all of the vision. You've seen the vision, now you've seen the doppelganger of you in the same day. Through projection in real time, because you see it come out of the screen. And you projected it through your mind, imagination, that brings everything in location setting all through travel. Okay? Now it's outside the I, and you're in the universe. So you created inside here. Let's bring this set lines of travel. You created this inside the travel. Okay? You created that inside of travel. That's what you created. That's what you created, right? But this is all happening in the I. Okay? You can't get out of the I because you're always in the I. Try to understand the convergence setting of 12 line centers and lines of signal and process that position location to get you in communication to your system, the colossals, and direct lines, your angles that process your system in directions. Okay? So what you created, okay, is now outside observing in real time. You brought it in real time. Okay? So process here, here, and here. Now it's outside the I. Okay? Outside the I, but inside the structure of the setting. Okay? Which you brought in which is nothing but a subtractions of communication, right? So it's out of the eye itself, out of the eye, and now you see it structured in real time, which is the line and position of mass. It depends on where it is and what you're creating through your image. Being specific how you bring things in, being specific how you correlate, being specific how you create the alteration of egos. So it's extremely important how you bring in, position your voids of a box frame, okay, which is the outer structure. The inner structure, okay, is the security, okay, inside position. That's protecting your setting, okay, and then you have the blue, which is your energy and force field. Okay, they're all the same lines in one. Okay, and then you got your consolidarity, which is your structure of design that you created in your mind, imagination. That's it there. Hoo-ah! Okay, now understanding that position, this comes out through structure. Okay, comes out through structure. Bringing this out, changing the formation setting to black and set lines of travel. Okay, now there's 12 layers below. All right, so we go through 12 lines ladder. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. 11 and 12. Okay. 12 lower levels below. Okay. And 12 levels above. All you're creating is a simulation system. So your eyes knows exactly what it's looking at in real time. And that's where you come into real-time set locations where you see the provisions of your friends and you meet these people, right? So you meet him through a simulation through the eye that you created through the mind itself, right? From below is the center operation. Everything's the center operation, but what you understand is the grounds, the panels, and the ceiling. Okay, and you is center operation. So you're coming out of that position of its door, of all directions, set lines of travel. Okay. So it's knowing how to go through the set position operation itself, dimension of space. Then you send the provisions, then you send track locations, all right? Okay, so you go into different levels of travel, different levels of travel, different levels of travel. Okay? Center here, and set lines of operation, all right? Then your line signals comes position your tether attachment system, which is your energy core. Now that convergence setting, which is all lines that puts you in position lines of calculations, all through travel, okay, which is your primer. That's your primer, right? You need a primer because it centers operation system that brings position lines of travels and has a direct line to its portals of its Stargate and screen location, okay, and it travels all together in one, right? But where's all this happening? Inside the eye, which is the void of space of time, okay? Yep. Very powerful stuff, guys, I'm telling you. Knowing exactly what you're doing inside the simulation itself. It's already set up inside the system. All through platforms, all through travel. All you got to understand is that you're coming in position of 12 and 24, knowing exactly how to create a simulate, which is a simulation. And then you can change your time formats like this in flux of screen adaptation, which is a new clocking center. Set position lines of setting travel, process line position over 10. So it's 10 over lines of 1, 2, and 3 lines of measure. Okay? Flux centers, directing ground centers of flux over travel. Okay? Convert this setting, change the angles, point lines of graph, metric meters, scales, metric line course centers, and line communication grounds in sequence. Platitude location is operation system, all inside the simulation. Look at this. Booyah. And that's you observing everything. See? That's you observing you inside the eye itself, living inside the eye. Actually living inside the eye, the windows of the soul. Okay? So that's what's going to change your systems. Okay? Is your body's not going to be there. It's just going to be eyes itself that you're going to be modifying through, which is see and I from above and below. Okay? That's what you have to get in directory location system, and then processing that lines and direct location settings get you in position location of travels and position your settings off your highways. Okay? And you on standby. Right there, that's you on standby. But I'm just telling you the bandwidth that you guys have to come into, what you process through, all through the eye. It's amazing when you live inside the eyes because you understand the structure of design line and what you're putting in position, location, your settings. How you see yourself through towers of communication. There's the tower. Boom. Okay? So it constantly changes. Your eyes change flux. Your eyes change time. Okay? But what doesn't change is you always what you are. Always living, existing, forming, and shaping yourself in different levels of expansion. Okay? Your performance puts you in all position lines of balance. How you see yourself in this level through the eye itself. Whoa, look at the structure of that. That's amazing. Look incredible how that is. That's a lot of activity, mobility that's going on with your system. And you process the platform to set position your setting through Skynet. There's your Skynet. Right there, right? Now, if you want to bring anything out, it goes outside the system. Now it's traveling in your atmospheres in real time. Okay, so now it's outside the structure. So it was inside the structure like this. See? That's inside. You brought it outside through imagination. So all you're doing is bringing out a TV screen. You're seeing a TV screen, but you're not identifying the portals of its screen and stargates. So you got to be very cautious what you do when you're thinking your thoughts, action, emotions, because now you're observing, creating reality coming out of the TV box screen, which is nothing but plasma electrical lines and grounds. It's electrical fencing that process inside, bringing outside position. Now it's inside your universe, traveling around inside your setting. Okay? Creating an anomaly, anything above the system that you're not identifying through frequencies, anything above the system is a higher lines dimension system. It will bring its own identification setting of its own intelligence information. That's overriding you. Okay? But it's all in the eye. So your mind are projectors of the projection now. The mind and relation system is all in position lines of travel. So you have to understand 12 line conversions and lines of signals, 3 wires of indication setting that tweaks the wires and set lines of travel. So processing this, 1 wire signature, tweaking the wires in position to red, 2 line signatures, and process position location of 3 wires all together in set lines of sequence. Okay, which is your energetic flow pattern and direct lines of grounds. Merging ground centers, high line centers, and line communication setting, converting line rotations, process lines of alpha, okay, beta, zeta, gamma line rotation. Okay, your energetic pattern, process position locations, A position lines of 13 grounds, higher self over travel, avatar and 14 flux, set position of 16 screen, directing into 24 clocking is service. Okay? And this is all happening inside the eye itself. Okay? So it's amazing. Absolutely amazing when you start to recognize these things and you realize you'll see your body not there anymore because you won't be focusing on the body. You think you have a body. That's the crazy part. So it's the mind that comes into projection, how you see the body now. And how you bring things in is perceiving consciousness and identifying that through portals and stargates and observing that you're creating realities. So you got to be very careful of what you do with your mind of thoughts and thinking of your systems because you bring things in right away in your imagination. Okay? So, trying to get you guys to understand how this all works, all through travel, all through directions, all through locations. Okay, it's very powerful stuff, right? But your eye constantly changes formations of timeline. Okay? So I'm just creating a new structure, a new platform inside rotation. Right? New schematics, new time frame, correlates and panels, directing ground center line positions, temperature readings, box frames, high course centers, converting line position structure to design line, and course centers calculation. Structure of a building in rotation. Okay, there's the building inside the eye. Okay? So it's really interesting when you see that. You create the mind of image, and now you see your actual astral projection of what your body's already gone through, sees it in real time through the doppelganger. So that's what it is. The seconds, minutes, and hours are going to tweak lines and wires. So that processes you in the void, there's security, and its protection and ground centers being sustainable, how to use your information bits in platforms and sent lines of travel. Okay? All through operation. Okay? We can change the structure of the building in set calculation. Okay? So, just trying to get you guys to identify these things, what you're really coming into when you see eye division. Okay, how you see above and how you see below. Okay, it doesn't matter how you look at it, it's all in position of the eye itself. Okay, but the structure is absolutely amazing how it's constructed in itself locations. It's complicated, right? But it's a lot of fun when you recognize what you are doing inside position. A platform indication, see? You can see it at all different levels. All right? And you can see the solar sail. There's the solar sail. Okay? So when you bring your mind imagination in, you got to be very careful now because it's outside looking in you. Okay? Now, as soon as you use your imagination, you're looking at it too long, you understand the provision, it comes out your system into your universe system and attractions. Now it's outside, inside your universe. Okay? So everything lives outside its system, inside its travel. Everything has its own inside line of its outside, inside line, position of its sim. What you have to modify is to be cautious of what you observe because you're going to take them out of the TV frame. So when you're looking at your Skynet, the Skynet's looking at you, right? So that's basically what it is, guys. It's knowing how to see a TV of what you're projecting in your mind, like this, okay? So as you're watching characters in your TV, cartoons, whatever, okay? So what you have to modify in position, because it's already gone through your time frame, through your body, the doppelganger locates your real-time position, puts you in existing already line position, living the lines in position of fourth line communication of existing. So triangulation flux, 3 sims of travel. Okay, so you understand what's going on? They come out of the TV. So they have a box frame, inside location, they're inside, right? So if you're not identifying the image, it comes outside your frame. Okay, now it's inside your universe, right? Now it's looking at you at both sides of angles that you brought out. Okay, again, it's all in position of the void. The void itself is the eye center of its center of operation. Okay, you can't get out of something that you've always been in. The one thing you have to process is just the eyes itself, which is nothing but a circulation of travel that you're going to be modifying through. Okay, that's all you're going to be, just the eyes. They're going to be golden rims. It's crazy, isn't it? It's going to be just golden rims, inside and outside location. Right? But your body won't be there. Okay? The body itself will be a dream correlations of communication, which is just not there in real time. So there is no body, just the conscious of the body that you bring in through the mind of projection of the body itself through astral projection, which is nothing projection of itself. Okay, so that's what you're all coming into. Just the eyes itself, golden rings. Golden rounds, golden arches, golden castle. Okay, so as you get up, your eyes are going to be gold. Golden circles are golden rims. Okay, so you're going to be walking around, seeing what's going on with the eyes, right? But you don't see the body. The only thing you're going to be seeing is this, just the eyes itself. So the eyes are the projection of itself, and that's one convergence system to one line adaptation of Earth. This is just Earth itself in one eye that you're seeing in provision, but it's all inside the eye itself, right? So the eye itself is its mapping system of its Earth of itself, which is even crazy through a mapping line, ground centers, location, and sequence that puts physical location and setting calculations. Grounding lines, Earth line rotation, child's point lines of graph. Massing through calculation grounds. There's your Earth, all right? All right, so we calculate the grounds. Let's get a brown line, rotation centers of travel. Set calculation grounds, all right? Modify set location, grounds, and sequence. Apply to location and travel. Okay, Earth ground, okay? Then you come position lines and settings into the forestry, okay? Which is the greenery, all right? Your set lines of operation, your trees, your satellites, your modems, insight calculation. All right, how you see Earth from perception. All right, all right. So it's really interesting. We see that when we come into the blue, which is the water itself, which is the line centers of the water containment system lines of calculation lines. Your electrical lights, your electrical panels, is screen adaptation. It processes everything you bring in on its Earth line rotations. 12 transitions and travel. Okay, there's your Earth. So you're going to wake up being the Earth. The only thing you're going to be seeing is 2 golden cycles of eyes. All right, everything else, the body's not going to be there. It's going to be inside the mind, the Earth itself. That you're going to be in projections of the eye itself. So you can have 2 convergences of eyes, like this. Okay. So whatever you do in platform, it's all lines positioned all through operation you're setting, a minor conjecture rate location of its travel. Okay, so you're working with outside the Earth, inside the travel communication, inside position. Trippy, isn't it? But your body won't be there. It's going to be a 12-dimensional space. So it's going to decentralize and centralize your system inside the eye itself, which is particleized. Okay, that process is position, location, or setting, dissolve, line calculation, grounds. Operates lines of sequence. Okay, your plasma line will be inside the eye, traveling through its space itself. Okay? All right. The reason why I know that, because I went through it. So, it's an interesting concept where we finally wake up to the foundation of ourselves and recognize it's nothing of fantasy. But what you have to recognize in that position, location of travel is the golden realms of your system. The golden arches, the actual full transition that you guys are going to be in 100% of the time frame. Okay? Which is the golden realms, guys. This is the golden arches, golden castles. This is the golden rims. This is the location of your golden bridge. Okay? So that's going to position and the time frames inside travel. And that's where it comes in 12 locations. Okay? Circulate modified lines into plasma in location. Okay? There you go. There's your crop circles on your Earth. Okay? So you have to understand how where everything works inside the eye itself, inside position of its Earth itself, and travel. So it gets a lot more fun when you recognize these things in your highways of communication. There's your highway. Platform here, equal lines of grounds. Okay? So it's mastering yourself inside your travel. Again, it's you, right? And you're bringing yourself, observing yourself inside of what you brought in. That's you observing, bringing in, and program. So you're always bringing in an observer of programming every single time. 12, 24, doesn't matter. But you have to send the 12 divisional lines of layers in position of grounds and 12 divisional location lines in position of 24 lines of clocking. Okay, which is going to be Earth 0.024. Okay, that you have to process in positions. But look at all this through the Earth and rotation. Okay? So you guys become the Earth. You become the fifth element. So it's going to decentralize and centralize your system. Departicleize your setting location, your settings of travel. So your particles, your atoms, your protons, electrons, neutrons, photons, and neurons, and line condition setting, your mind conception location setting, your merging and set lines of operation system is going to be 12 convergent lines of wire signatures inside the position of the mind to the eye itself, which is your center core, which is your operation core, okay, which is your intelligence core, which is your generation core to AI, to customization. Okay? So that's what you got to get used to now. Because you're just going to see through the eyes. Body's not going to be there. It won't matter anyway because you won't remember that anyway. The only thing you'll remember is where you left off in your 12 and your 24 game lines of sequence, the dimension of space and time. Okay? All right? But it's amazing when you create these things inside the eye. It's knowing how to live inside the eye and knowing exactly what comes outside the eye. Because it's coming out into your universe in real time that you see in a spectrum. Okay? It's knowing how to use your oculars and your nautilus. That process is set position to your automation system, to your autonomous. Isn't it amazing? Roots? Isn't that fantastic? How you see that in all formations? Pretty incredible, eh? So it doesn't matter long, width, line, centers, all line positions, what you do in line communication. It's all inside the center of the eye. Everything's done through the eye. That's what you have to practice through. Okay, it's that traction. And it all rotates in the same direction. Doesn't matter it goes this way, doesn't matter it goes this way, it's always moving forward. Okay? See? It's traveling to you. Right? It's traveling to you, coming out of the TV box. Now it's in your reality in real time. So you got to be very careful what you do here, because now you're observing and creating reality coming to you out of your portals and stargates, the screen. So you have to identify what you're doing through your mind that projects everything in your system. And the time capacities process your lines of volume. Come in that position, location in your system through your astral projections to your real time of your doppelganger. Come together into one unification. See? See? No separation. See how fast it was? See? Can't see my hand. Merging together in one. It's momentum. My hands going all different directions. See? Looks like they're still, but they're moving extremely fast in particle acceleration, right? But it's all inside the eye. So as you guys wake up, you're going to be waking up to this. All through travel, all through recognition of space and time. Just the eyes itself. Your body won't be there, because you'll be seen through the eye. Provisions at 12 and 24. Where you left off in your conscious location of travel. Okay? Okay, so timeline, centers, and frequency grounds. We'll set up operation lines of ground set position sequence, time flights, time manifolds, location setting to your test reviews and evaluations on Friday. We'll get into that line communications and setting. All right? Adios.